which I kind of like because now I can just use all the applications I'm used to using. You know, I don't need any special application. It's just running in the background right now, recording this. So for my class, what I did was I had a PowerPoint, and then you can edit it pretty quickly later, so I can get rid of all this garbage, you know, that's at the beginning while I'm talking. But here's the reasons to flip the classroom. So too often there's too much content to fit into a lecture format, and that's especially true in an area like biology, biochemistry. It's not as true in what I teach. That doesn't change quite as quickly as some other classes, but still, there's lots of stuff, and that's one of the main complaints that profs have. I can't do active learning. I don't have enough time because I have to cover too much. So I can't cut out the content, right? And so if you flip the classroom, then you can get around that. Because you don't have to lecture about everything. Also, students lose interest in lecturing after about the first 15 minutes, right? So what's the point in trying to cover it all? So it's just kind of a waste of time for everyone involved. And students learn better when they're actively doing stuff. I've heard the quote, you know, the person who does the work is the person who learns. And I know a lot of us have said, yeah, I didn't really understand this until I had to teach it the first time, right? So, you know, the teacher learns a lot through lecturing, but it's not clear that the students learn much of anything. And these really are just some example citations. There's lots of citations out there for these points. So what's flipping the classroom? So outside of classroom time, the students would gather information through reading, through watching a video that you made and posted or that you linked to. Or you can give them a couple of options. And I read one research article that really the focus was, you know, students learn in different ways, and flipping the classroom accommodates that way better than lecturing does, because you can have lots of options for them to choose from and say, you know, look at this or this or this. So that's where they gather the information that would normally be in the lecture. And then during the class time, the students might do what they'd normally do for homework. So solve problems or answer questions, hopefully do this with groups of peers, or you could have them do it individually. You can structure it a lot of different ways. You can discuss things in small groups or with the whole class. You could have them respond to clicker questions, or maybe, you know, with their phone instead of with a clicker. Although I did ask my students about this, I was going to try it, but I asked and they said in the classroom that we're in there's no signal. So then what do, right? Then we still need to use clickers, I guess. And then the key is, at that point, they're interacting with the professor to address misconceptions early, rather than, you know, everything seems totally lucid while they're in lecture, then they go back to the dorm room and discover their misconceptions while they try to do their homework. Rather, they're trying to do what would be their homework, you know, during the class time, and then you can interact with them and address those things. And here's a quote that I thought sort of captured it. Simply transmitting information should not be the focus of teaching. Helping students to assimilate that information should. So the assimilation is what happens in the classroom rather than the transmission. All right, so then my idea, find or prepare a video for some concepts, and I'm going to start with the particularly dry ones where I really feel like, you know, I'm standing at the board going over a list of rules that they have to follow. I'd rather have them watch a video on that, have a handout, and then just dive in and start working in the classroom. And maybe a reading assignment, you know, to match the video. And then they would spend the class time working example problems in small group structured around clicker questions, so I can kind of keep tabs on how things are going. So that's the brief summary. So now let's see how this works. Let's see, Camtasia, how do I stop the recording? This isn't working how I remembered it before.
Are you wondering that stop recording down there?
Where is the stop recording?
You were just there. Go back to file, and at the bottom of that.
Oh yeah.